It is time for the big show. Hello, everybody. My name is Mickey. It's time for the big show. Make sure that you check in and let me know that you're here. Do me a favor and throw a comment out there. We always have a race to see who's going to be the first one that's going to make a comment. It always surprises me because Dawn out in Arizona is one of the first people to always check in. Sherry Clark, gold medalist tonight. Welcome to the big show. Darla Stewart Bennett coming in, silver medal. Steve Hayes coming in with the bronze, all the way down in Florida. So that's right, we got a couple of folks from Arkansas. Greg Meyer, way up there in Illinois. Man, I hope everybody's doing well. Don Ledger, all the way out there in Arizona. Glad to see everybody getting here. We're going to try to have a good time. But we got some serious stuff to discuss tonight. So I don't know how much fun I'm going to have. I might get all mansplaining. Or as somebody once pointed out to me, splaining. That is right. I might be splaining myself tonight. We'll see how it goes. All I know is I've been giving a lot of thought to the topic tonight. And this is a tough one. I'm going to be walking a tightrope. I'm going to be way above the ground. I might end up with a bunch of haters. I might end up with a bunch of people that love me. No matter what I say, I am not going to be safe from controversy. Hello, Logan Calcaterra. Glad to see that you can join us tonight. For everybody that's not checked in yet, make sure you check in. That way I can know what we got going on. And hey, look at that. 1 minute and 57 seconds have gone by, so it's time to start the show. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the big show. My name is Mickey, and the show is Mickey in the Middle. It's the quintessential show for all middle Americans. Everyone is welcome here, no matter what your background, no matter where you're from. You can be on the other side of the planet, and you are still welcome here. I say this is a quintessential show for middle Americans because that's where I'm from. I'm right in the heartland. I'm from Arkansas. I spent 30 years traveling the world in the United States military. I ended up in Arkansas with my beautiful wife, Tanya, my beautiful daughter, Sydney, and we've tried to make a life for ourselves. And I had just a tremendous amount of opportunities to interact with some of the best people in the world. All kinds of people that had great hearts, people that had great minds, intellectuals, people that are in the education field, not necessarily too many world leaders, but I have got to go fly on an airplane with Hillary Clinton. I have been on airplanes with the Prime Minister of Iraq. I've had senators and generals and Congress people on airplanes. I try to be well-read. I try to be a well-rounded individual. And that's where this show came from. Because I want everybody in the whole wide world to get along. I want everybody to appreciate everybody else on the planet. That's why everyone is welcome to come here and put in the comments what you think about what I'm saying. See, I'm one person that's not afraid to be wrong. I'm a person that's not afraid to listen to somebody else's perspective. I reserve the right to have a very, very considered position that which I come up with, and then I'm going to mold that depending on the new information that I get as I go through my life. And it's only fair that all of us are open-minded enough to allow other people to do the exact same thing. You are a different person today than you were 30 years ago. And if you haven't been alive for 30 years, a couple of months ago, maybe even last week, you might be a different person today based on new information that you got, that somebody might have told you, you might have seen something on the internet. But you're a different person today than you were in the past. And hopefully you'll be a different person tomorrow. So, with that being said, tonight, I'm walking on a tightrope. I threw out there that I'm going to be talking about white privilege. And here's what the thing is. Some people put on my post, hey, that's not even a thing. Okay, well, it might not be a thing, but other people think it is a thing. And what I do is I try to take every single thing that I know and I go, well, what do I think about it? Can I gather more information about it? And then I have to ask myself, what do other people think of this? Now, there's a whole bunch of things out there that have changed in our lifetime. I don't know, the amount of carbon that's in the air. That is we definitely have more carbon in the air, CO2, if you will, than we used to have. We now have an internet. Didn't have that when I was a kid growing up. We all have cars that get pretty good gas mileage. We all have the ability to instantaneously go and research something on the internet from anywhere we are. All of these are fantastic revelations. And as we learn more about them, and as we learn more about each other through social media networks and through networking, and having the availability to communicate at a moment's notice and have our opinions and other people's interact, that means that we all have the opportunity to get smarter and mold ourselves into being better people. And hopefully you have an open mind as we move forward. And as people change their mind, and as people modify their positions on certain things that you have thought about yourself, that you don't ridicule them or make fun of them or go, you were wrong. Well, we're all wrong. One time or another, we're all wrong. We all got smacked by our mama at one time or another. So tonight, I'm talking about white privilege because it's a thing. In the last couple of days, I have said a couple of things, and somebody said, hey, look here, you need to check your privilege. And it made me think a lot about where I am and where I've been and where I'm going to go. And I wanted to address this topic, but I will totally admit that I wanted to address this topic earlier, but I was a coward. I wasn't really a coward. I just didn't really know how I was going to address it. So I didn't want to put any thoughts out there that were not complete. So based on that, I took all the information that I had and I put it together. And then I went out and I researched furiously for the last couple of days. And I've come up with something that is the exact same position that I was in before I did all the recent research, which is I don't know. Here's what the thing is. I don't have all of the answers. I don't think that anybody has all the answers. So what I did is I wrote out an opening monologue, if you will, in general terms, and then I'll expand on that. And for everybody that's wondering, I'm probably gonna go long because there's a lot that has to be considered when we're talking about this. And all I'm doing is I'm throwing information out there for everyone to consider. For everyone to consider. I want you to think about the things that I say, and then I want you to formulate your own ideas about how we move forward as a country, as a culture, as friends, as neighbors. How do we get to the next step in our evolution? Because we're going to have a next step in our evolution. Because I often say on the show, nobody's going anywhere. We're all here. I can change houses, I can change cities, I can change states. And unless I leave the country, we're here in the United States of America. We're just underneath Canada. We're just above Mexico. Nobody's going anywhere. So we have to figure out how to deal with each other. And when terms like white privilege comes up, people have very strong opinions about that. So I'm going to read this and I'm going to give you a very, very carefully considered opinion on the matter. So, first of all, I'm scared. You want to know why I'm scared? Because this seems to really bring out emotion in people. When people get emotional, that means that it's near and dear to their heart. They hold something in their soul that they either have to get out or that they want to express. And when you start dealing with people's emotions, you have to have a little bit of trepidation. You have to have a little bit of caution, because the people that are out there have a hard time taking the way that they seriously feel about something, bringing in new information, and adapting that to a new world. And when we get emotional about something, it is only because it's important to us. And so when you start messing with something that's important to someone on either side of this, it's going to be emotionally charged. And that means that people are going to have their feelings hurt based on things that they might not want to hear, or based on things that other people might say or do. So I consider this a third rail. You know, the electricity's flowing through it on the A train, and if you touch another one of the rails, you're basically fried. But I'm willing to do it because I'm not that scared, right? I have to start with this. I am me. I am what I am. I'm a cacophony of experiences and thoughts that is totally unique unto me. I don't know how else to put this, but I am one of a kind. Each one of you watching tonight has put me into a set of boxes based on what you know about me. Now, some of you out there might have known me in grade school, because I still have friends of mine that I knew from grade school. Some from high school, junior high school, from the Air Force, from my extracurricular activities, which are many, life after the Air Force, in my business, from my album, from my book, from my videos, others just from Mickey in the Middle. When I say that you know me, I don't think that everybody knows everything about me. No matter who you are. Not my daughter, not my wife. Sometimes I don't even think I know everything about myself. But then there's everything that you don't know about me. But then when you have things that you don't know about me, you have to fill that in with assumptions. And it's not that it's your fault that you don't know everything about me. It's just impossible to get to know everybody on the level that you would like to get to know somebody. So when you start filling in assumptions about me, I also have to fill in assumptions about you. That's the way that people operate. Our brains are magnificent at taking information and little bitty bites of information and filling in all of the gaps. What you know versus what you don't know. What is your history? And our brain assembles all of those things together to present a picture that your brain can understand. When our brains start understanding things, then we can kind of internalize it. And then based on our assumptions, now we get a total picture. And is that fair? Our brains are magnificent, but it's based on who we are, what our past experiences, and what our biases is. That's how we remain safe, because the world is a dangerous place. If we don't fill in those gaps, we can get ourselves into a lot of trouble. And by getting ourselves into a lot of trouble, we endanger ourselves and possibly others. See, but we learn things from our parents, and we learn things about the world as we go through that. At one time in history, kings and queens ruled the world. It doesn't matter what part of the world you were from, what continent you were from. Everybody was oppressed except the ruling class, which was ruled by kings and queens and dictators and other people that through brute force oppressed the rest of the world. You either went along with them or you didn't. As the world got more sophisticated over time and people gained more and more freedom, we find ourselves into a situation where people that were previously oppressed are no longer oppressed as a function of their family line. And each one of us has a family line that goes back millennials. So because we all have lines that we are following, and those are our family trees, those inner trees are all getting interconnected now. And because they're getting interconnected, that means that we have more opportunity to talk to each other and understand each other. Because in the world today, we are trying to get to a place where all people are equal with the same opportunities. Now, through the decades, each generation has been defined by new generational trends. Like in the early 1900s, There was a severe recession. There were 2 world wars. It was just after slavery was abolished, and then it was before the civil rights era. A lot of those folks are still around that lived during that time. I was born in 1962. Right as the civil rights era came into fruition, and in 1964, when the Civil Rights Act was passed, I was only 2 years old. So ever since that time, we have tried to get institutional racism out of our culture. We have been working very, very hard for that. As we have done that, academics and many other great thinkers have put their brain power into how we were, how we are, and how we're moving forward. Because we cannot define where we are right now in every single sense, but we can define where we are. A lot of smart people are trying to get us all moving forward. So people have written an absolute ton of academic papers on civil rights and how are we supposed to treat each other? How are we supposed to get rid of institutional racism? Is all institutional racism gone? Is there still personal privilege? Is there precedence? I got to get back to my notes. We learn things from our parents. We integrate them into our new worlds. At one time in history, I was little bitty. But in my lifetime, I have watched advances in television and the internet. I've watched advances in culture itself and the diversity and inclusion that has gone on. And up until the Supreme Court decided about gay marriage, we still were not saying that all people were equal. And in some cases, other people are saying that some people don't deserve to be equal, or that they're this, that, or the other thing. Difficult conversations, one and all. But there's a difference between my parents. There's a big, huge difference in the life that my mom and dad lived and the life that my daughter's leading. So the question is how do we account for those differences? Do we still live in the world that my parents came up in? Because my dad was born in 1933. Or are we somewhere in between 1933 when my dad was born and 1998 when my daughter is born, who's now 22 years old? There's a big difference in the world, and we're still trying to adjust to that. So, inside of that, I got to get back to my notes, right? We have to, stand by. No, stand by. I had a good thing going and then I blew it. Everybody's put me into a box. And when I say that everybody puts me into a box, here's what I want you to know about me. I've got history. I've got a lot of experiences built up behind me. I try to be the nicest person that I possibly can be, and I try not to be racist, and I try to not exercise privilege. But as I cruise through my world, I am who I am. And I have never asked anybody to not be who they are. I can't think of one single time in my entire life that I've ever looked at somebody and went, hey, you need to change. I might have said that at work, and I might have said, hey, look here, we need to modify this in order for you to be more successful. I might have given people ideas and suggestions, but I would never have the audacity to ever look at somebody and just go, hey, look here, the way that you are is just wrong. And then you are an absolute mess. So inside of the scope of white privilege, there's a lot of stuff that's out there. And when I say that there's a lot of stuff that's out there, I'm talking about stuff that is kind of like this. This right here was from this guy, Barner Hess. I don't know how you say it. But here's what the thing is. He says that there's a white identities that we have to deal on. Everything from a white supremacist, and then he wants everybody to advocate for the abolition of whiteness. Now, I don't know what whiteness is. I don't know what the whiteness is other than the fact to say that I identify as white. I identify as white. But to say that we need to abolish whiteness, that would be like me saying we need to abolish blackness, that we need to abolish Mexicanness, that we need to abolish Asianness, that we need to how do you do that? And then they say it's a hierarchical structure based on things that have happened in the past and then moving forward, and there are some things that we need to absolutely wipe out. I think that there are bad things that are out there that are happening inside of our world that we absolutely have to address as a culture as we move forward. There are many, many instances when who you are as an individual results in privilege. But you, as an individual, probably don't have anything to do with it. There's a lady, let me get this up real quick. Let me do a real quick definition of this, right? So what is white privilege? White privilege is the unearned, mostly unacknowledged social advantage. Oh, there we go. Keep doing this. White privilege is the unearned, mostly unacknowledged social advantage white people have over other racial groups simply because they are white. Where does white privilege come from? The term white privilege was popularized by Peggy McIntosh, an influential scholar and activist. In 1988, McIntosh wrote a paper called White Privilege and Male Privilege, a personal account of coming to see correspondence through work in women's studies. The reason I bring that up is because Peggy basically disrupted the entire structure of what is considered bias in America. She said everything was biased towards white men. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think that I can disagree with Peggy. The question is if the world was run by kings and queens, and if at one time we had slaves, and you had these institutions that were based on that, and in the 1960s, all of a sudden that got disrupted, and we've been trying to work and getting that out of there, that means that there are still historically people that may believe that. So the question is how are we addressing it? Because this is the way that I look at it. And this is, man, I had to think a long time of this. If somebody discriminates against somebody else, that's wrong. Discrimination is wrong. And when I say discrimination, I'm talking about little things. As Peggy points out in one of her articles, that she can walk into a store and not be followed by a clerk when she is shopping. Awesome for you, Peggy. But if I go shopping with a friend of mine and the clerk follows a friend of mine and does not follow me, does that mean that I'm privileged, or does that mean that the other person is being discriminated against? Because am I supposed to look at the clerk and go, excuse me, you're following my friend. Can you please get somebody to follow me? Because I am a human and you're not following me. To me, that doesn't make sense. I need to tell the store clerk to not follow my friend. I use that as an example because somebody said, you have privilege. And I'm saying here going, well, I didn't know how to really take that. And they're like, well, you can only say that because you're a well-off white guy. Well, I am white and I am well-off, but I also know a whole bunch of other people that have followed almost the exact same road that I have, that have followed and ended up in the exact same place. But I can't speak to their history. I can only speak to my history. And if we go to the same place, and we get different results, is that because of me or is that because of someone else? That's the part of this that I don't understand. If I was prejudiced, or if I was biased, or if I had these biases built into me, then I could do something about it. And if I never offer anybody else a privilege, if I treat all people that come to me with the exact same courtesy, am I doing my part? Because now it is, you are getting your privilege, and you need to abolish the whiteness that's built into the system. That's why I'm talking about this. This absolutely concerns me, because it concerns many of my friends. They grew up differently than me. Some grew up poor, some grew up better off, some grew up north, some from down south. The majority of my friends, I don't know the deepest places. I don't know all the deep places that they come from, all of the experiences that they have, but I can guarantee one thing: they were all different than mine, and I can only end up from where I am. And so where I am right now is I try to be a person of character, as Dr. Martin Luther King says. He says, let people be judged on the content of their character. And I embrace that. Man, I love that. But I also know that I've worked hard. My experiences also ended up going to jail twice. I've been in the backseat of a car, of a cop car. It sucks. I can't imagine going through my life fearing that somebody's going to throw me in a back seat of a car because of the color of my skin. And they go, well, that doesn't happen. Well, yeah, it does happen. Matter of fact, in New York City, they actually had a policy of no loitering so that they could arrest people and so that they can search them on the flimsiest of evidence. It happens in Chicago all of the doggone time. To think that we don't have these biases built into us is ignoring the fact that people feel that they have got this extra weight on them because of the color of their skin. And because you don't have it doesn't mean that we shouldn't address it as a culture. And then when somebody looks at me and says, well, you're privileged, I'm saying, no, I'm not privileged. Those son of a bitches are biased. And we need to stop that. We need to not say, I need to not be knocked down. We need to say everybody else needs to be treated fairly and equally. We need everybody to not be followed in a store. If me and somebody of color were sitting on a park bench and somebody walked up and handed me a bag of popcorn, is that my white privilege? Or is that person, is that their issue? And I'd go, hey man, I got my friend here. How come we didn't give him a bag of popcorn? Well. And then you blame me for that. And I'm just saying, I'm just trying to make it in life. I can only account for myself. And then I can do shows like this and I can go, hey, look here, everybody. Let's treat everybody equally and fairly. We all didn't start in the same place. This is like me trying to lecture. I get sidetracked all the time. Yes, ma'am, I get sidetracked. Greg's, what seems most harmful are those that are willing to formulate opinions without investing the time needed to truly understand others. Yes, Mickey, it's deeper than that. Try being a father with Down's daughter walking into a store. Yes. Here's the thing. We all have a set of biases. What we can do as individuals is try to make sure that everybody understands that we need to really try to overcome our personal bias in every situation. And we really need to treat each other with dignity and respect without formulating these opinions based on what we see rather than giving everyone the benefit of the doubt to start with and then formulating an opinion after we get to interact with them a little bit. The thing is that I didn't even realize this until I started thinking about this. And I'm gonna go on real quick. When I got out of the United States military, I wanted to become a professional motivational speaker. My daughter Sydney had gone to a conference in high school called Hobie. Hobie is where a bunch of smart kids all get together. They have interactions. They have a bunch of speakers, and they spend a weekend getting all of this great information about how to make the world better. She was there. She found a speaker, the best motivational speaker that she saw the entire weekend. And she said, she walked up to this individual who she did not know, and she said, "Sir, you are a fantastic motivational speaker. My dad's thinking about getting in the business. Would you do me a favor? Can you give me some contact information, and I will have my dad contact you so you can help him out?" Sydney came home, and she said, "Hey, Dad, I saw the best speaker in the world. Could you do me a favor? Give him a call. This is his card." His name was Patrick George. And after a while, I was like, no, I'm not going to call him. I'm not going to call him. I didn't know anything about this guy other than he was a fantastic motivational speaker. And then finally, my daughter looked at me. She goes, "Hey, Dad," this is like after a month or two. She goes, "Hey, Dad, call that guy." So I called him. Unbelievable motivational speaker. Unbelievable dude. Had a heart as big as gold. He had high aspirations. He's got a family. We interacted. We took off like peas and carrots. After I talked to him a couple times, I said, "Hey, excuse me. I always pay for services rendered. I don't want to do anything free. Could you coach me and I will pay you money?" And he said, "Yes, sir. I will take your money and I will coach you." And literally, Patrick George started me off on my speaking career. It's like how to get gigs, what kind of information to have. Do you want to write a book? Do you want to have additional content? What's your focus area? How do you nug down into the thing? He's one of my mentors. My business mentor. I don't know whether he's watching right now, but the possibility is high that he is. He's the only person that I've ever given a large sum of Spillane money to in order to execute a deal that was going to be beneficial to both of us. If I have any business questions, I call him. I try to have lunch with him as often as possible because he happens to be the smartest businessman that I personally know. He's divested. He's got an incredible family. My third is my life coach. Before I do anything of major national implications, I give him a call. I gave him a call a couple of weeks ago and I was like, "Hey, look here, I want to do something on a national scale." There's only one person that I called about this, and I said, "I want to have a picnic for our entire country. I want it from coast to coast, 320 million people to show up. Everybody packs a picnic. Everybody packs a little bit extra. We all go to a park in our local area, and we share a picnic with 320 million of our closest friends. And we get to share our picnic with everybody else in the country. And to show that we are diverse and we are inclusive." And I said, I would like to I would like to vote everyone in Congress out because they will not institute term limits. And all they do is fight with each other. What do you think about that? I did not even realize that the three biggest mentors that I have are all way more successful than I am. They all have more college degrees than I have, and they all happen to be black. That's right, I just threw out the "I have a black friend" card. But until I started thinking about this, I didn't think of them as that. I just thought of them as mentors to me. A person of dignity, respect, with character. Some of the finest people I've ever met. And that's the way that I want to treat everyone that I come in contact with a great deal of dignity, a great deal of respect. And then when somebody accuses me of having privilege, and then I just don't know what to do with that. So on both sides of the aisle, when somebody says, hey, you look here, you're exercising your white privilege, some people might take that as an actual insult. Because you're saying, because you are white, you have this privilege. What privilege? The privilege of speaking? Because I think that we live in the United States of America and everybody has the right to speak. Go look at TikTok. Oh my gosh, everybody's speaking on TikTok. Everybody has an opinion on Facebook. Everybody can write articles in the paper. Everybody can go out and peacefully protest. Everybody's voice can be heard. I've used this example a million times. You cannot go to a parking lot anywhere in the United States of America and look at anybody else in the United States of America and go, hey, look here, I'm more privileged than you, washed my car. They will look at you and tell you to kiss their behind. So the thing is, if we can't attack it on that kind of a level, what can we do? See, to me, what we need to do is we need to work on ourselves, understand that people are different, understand that we may have an advantage when we're dealing with other people that somebody else that's not like us might not have. And that's a powerful statement. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to say, in specific instances, this needs to be corrected a little bit. And then they say, well, you have to speak out. And I do. But not on a scale where I will do anything not on a scale where I will do anything ever up to the level that somebody else wants me to do it. I have to do it in my way. And some people are going to be mad at me for this. But I know some people that are marginally racist. But those numbers are so few, and they're dwindling to the point of almost non-existence because everybody changes. The more that we interact as in a multicultural, multi-diverse, integrated society that has inclusion and diversity as one of our core strengths, everybody goes, oh, wow, look at that. How about that? Didn't know that. I never knew anybody from Mississippi. I never knew anybody from Washington. I never knew anybody from New York City. I never knew anybody from Puerto Rico. Now I've got a little bit of a look into the culture of Puerto Rico and of Washington and of Florida and of Washington, D.C. and Detroit. Somebody that's a little bit different on the aisle than I am, whether you're politically diverse on the left or whether you're politically diverse on the right. Secular people with religious people, straight people with gay people, people of color with people of a different color. This is the thing that I'm talking about, is we have to each individually understand that as we go through life, there are things that are critically important to other people, that based on their experience, they may not have had all of the same experiences that you have had based on where they're from, the people that they have interacted with, the experiences that their parents, their grandparents, or great-grandparents, their lineage has resulted in the person that they are. That as they get information, they have to then make decisions for themselves and others so that they can now have their voices expressed. And because they express a voice and they say, hey, look here, I do not have the same advantages of a person of a different color. And then I'm going to break it down like this. The luckiest people in America right now are Alex Rodriguez and J-Lo. Alex Rodriguez and J-Lo. Alex Rodriguez was a shortstop in Major League Baseball. Incredible career. J-Lo is one of the most talented actresses, dancers, performers, singer in the history of life. And they married each other and had beautiful children. That right there is time, effort, and energy, and just sheer luck that they got to meet and fall in love with each other. Because that's what's possible in America. And I always want that for everybody. I want everybody to be able to go and find out the person that's right for them, to be able to team up, have a great family, be able to live a middle-class life. I don't want anybody oppressed. I don't want anybody depressed. I want everybody elevated without having to tear anything down. And they say that the system is broken, that people, yes, people extend privilege to other people. But some of that is economic privilege. Some of that is personality. Some of that is star-driven, star power. Some of that is just because you're absolutely attractive. Because you're taller, you have privilege. Because you are skinnier of frame, those people have some privilege in certain circumstances. Because you're fit, because you're not fit, because you're short, because you're tall. As you go through life, I'm just asking you to please remember your bias, give people the benefit of the doubt, try to lift everybody up, try to speak in consideration of other people so that they understand that you are trying to take their feelings and their history into account. And then if we treat everybody with decency, respect, then all of a sudden we can move together as a culture moving forward with inclusion and diversity. And that inclusion has to include whiteness, blackness, Hispanicness, Asianness, Africanness, Australianness, all of those. Because I couldn't imagine wiping any of you out. And I just want you to please understand that I know that I am a white guy. I know that. Been that pretty much my whole life. But I want you to know that I love you. And I appreciate you tuning in. And I want to hear your comments about this. Because if I said something that you disagree with, I cannot grow as a person unless you tell me, hey, look here, this is the way that I saw your point. And then that makes me a better person. And I might be able to mold things a little bit different. But all I want to do is lift everybody up. And I want to get smarter. And I want to be able to work with you, to work with me, to work with everybody else, to make sure that as a culture, the United States of American culture, that we can all progress into the future together with a lot of love and a lot of soul. So, with that being said, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope I didn't make anybody too mad, because it was all from the heart, because I really am trying to make everyone my friend, and I want to make everybody a better person, and that's what this show is all about. It's all about all of us taking care of all of us. So, do me a favor, send me your comments. Remember, Mickey in the Middle, every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Central, right here wherever I am, and right there wherever you are. Remember to like, share, hit the notification bell, get all the notifications over there. I'm on, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Me, and I'm on Rumble, and I'll be on Parler whenever they get back up. So, thanks a lot. Love you. Have a great night. Remember, everybody, live, laugh, and love. Peace.